What is going on, fellas? Today I am here with my boy,
Jess Thomas.
and Jess happens to be one of my fellow classmates for radio and
Broadcasting.
broadcasting, whatever that class is.
Yes.
We just know it's about radio. And I am your host, Juan Grimaldo. Jess, you're about to graduate, man. How does that feel?
And honestly, it's a relief because I've been in college for a long time, and I'm so excited to graduate and then, finally get on with my new phase in life and just hopefully get a great job and do what I really want to do.
Man, when you say you've been here for a while, I felt that. I've been here since I think pandemic began, and it's been a roller coaster. I mean, we've had ups and downs, but let's make this about you. Let's not make this about my, history with UNT or school, but I want to make it about you as my guest. Tell me about you. Like, where are you from? How old are you? Tell me all that good stuff, all that background stuff that I need to know.
I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm 25 years old, and I have a twin brother. His name's Scott. He also goes by Emrys, and I'm just really thankful to actually finally graduate this semester on May 12th, and that's what I really got to say about myself.
So you're about to graduate, and then afterwards you're out of here. You want to go ahead and do your life. What exactly are you studying, and what do you see yourself doing as soon as you graduate, or maybe not as soon as you graduate, but a couple of years into it?
So I'm a media arts major, and right after I graduate, or like 2 years after, I expect myself to work for a media company, hopefully in Houston. That's what I'm aiming for. One of the big media companies in Houston, and that would be great.
But what exactly do you want to do? Like, where do you think your calling is? Like, for example, I want to be either. I started as a news reporter. That's where I wanted to be, but now I'm leaning towards being a radio host down the line. Where do you kind of see yourself in a long run?
In the long run, I can see myself kind of doing a little bit of everything, whether that be a news reporter, a radio host, a film director, a writer, I mean, a behind the scenes producer, just anything that deals with any form of media that not only is really good as a job, but also makes good money and something that I know I can be happy with.
Sweet, that's really great. So we kind of spoken about how this semester's been for you, but tell me a little bit about last semester. I mean, I've went through kind of some of the rosters, and I figured that I've had you for some courses before, and I just completely never saw you, never met you. That could have been because our classes were hybrid or whatnot. But tell me, how did last semester kind of treat you here at UNT? How was it?
So last semester, the summer before the last semester was really bad, and that's when last, like, I'd say around May, I went to speak with one of my doctors, and I was off the walls. I was not mentally well, and then all of a sudden, like, I was sent to the emergency room, and they put me in a glass room for 5 days, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. Like, I had no clue. I didn't know what was to happen. But then this psychiatric ward in Houston called Kingwood Pines Hospital. They're awful. They basically they came unannounced to the hospital, and they basically took me, just I'd say kidnapped me, and then they put me in a psych ward for 8 days, and it was the worst experience of my life.
So I'm sorry, but they kidnapped you. They kidnapped you. Like, they essentially took you without your parents' knowledge.
Correct.
Oh my God. Okay, I have so many questions. I just kind of elevated the whole topic like in less than 10 seconds, man. So first of all, first things first, why did you go to the hospital on the first place, and then how the hell did psychiatrists get involved in this? Like, what was the link in between them?
So I went to the hospital because I had a psychotic breakdown, and it wasn't very good. And then all of a sudden, like I just, I guess, wasn't. I remember not. I just had no idea what was really going on, and then someone comes to my emergency room, and basically they state like, "Hey, you're going to be going to Kingwood Pines Hospital tomorrow." I'm like, "What? What's going on?" so they're like, it's in Kingwood, and it's a psychiatric hospital. I'm like, what? Why am I going there? And it was really bizarre and awful. And then I remember the next morning, like a stretcher comes, and I had to like be putting on a stretcher, and they were just pushing me, and and it was weird. It felt like something straight out of like a horror movie or a psychological thriller. And they pushed me into like the ambulance, the Kingwood Pines ambulance car. And then they took me there, and I just had no clue what was really going on.
Okay, so you're describing this, and I think automatically about those movies where like they put you in those long white sleeve shirts and they kind of tie you down to that stretcher and then they just take you randomly. Is that kind of what happened to you?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me.
So tell me, man, when you get to this hospital, Kingwood Hospital in Houston, tell me about your experiences there, like because you're not mentally ill, but
Right.
somehow they took you to that mentally ill hospital. So being I guess you want to put a sane person, what were your experiences like at this hospital?
Oh man, just the experience at the hospital was nuts. I mean, the people, like, I met one person there who was really sweet and nice, and we've become good friends. But there was just several, like, several people who were just off the walls. I mean, there's this one girl. She's 25 years old, yet she looked like a 12-year-old. She looked like Honey Boo Boo.
Oh man.
And basically, she kept calling her mom on like the little like shitty or the cruddy phones at the hospital. It's like one of those phones you see in like a prison. And she kept calling like her mom or her aunt or whatever. And
Hey, what would she say?
she would always be saying, "Hey mom, you're a dumb bitch," and all this weird shit. She kept like saying like, "You're a dumb bitch," and all this shit. And then basically, I remember one time the nurses wouldn't like she was trying to get the nurses' attention, or she wasn't like. The nurses were like being mean to her or something, and basically she's like, "I'm gonna slap the fucking shit out of you." She kept saying like, "I'm gonna slap the shit out of like the nurses." It was whack. And there was another guy. He had like a bald head. He was like a religious fanatic, and I remember he told me he was in the hospital because he was basically like seeing all these weird religious signs, and he was claiming he wasn't crazy, but he obviously was. And basically he said that he would always go to this grocery store. And at the grocery store, he'd always see this lady who would always stare him down, and treat him like she would always tell him to like get out of like the grocery store. And he basically compared her to this like weird biblical character who is evil in the Bible.
We spoke about a little bit about this last week, and you mentioned something about the brother that burned down the meth house.
Oh yes.
Tell me a little bit about this guy. How did it go, or what was it?
Oh man, so this guy, he was bonkers. He basically he was funny but in a weird way, and he was saying like he didn't need to be in the hospital. He was a hero to the community and all this stuff. And basically he said that he was put in the hospital. He was either going to be put in the hospital or in jail because he burned down his brother's meth house.
Oh man, family business gone wrong, huh?
Oh yeah.
So I had the opportunity to look up the hospital on Google Maps, and I found some of the reviews, which are bizarre. I didn't believe you at first because I was like, okay, it's a psychiatry, hospital. Why would, they do this kind of crazy shit? But after reading some of the reviews, man, I totally believe it. Brianna Pickett says, "My mother was admitted here for trying to take her life. They would not share how she was doing on her treatment with either me or my brother. They let her out 3 days later. A month later, she died. She took her life. This place is useless. I will be filing a lawsuit." That is insane. This other place said, "This place will say that you can't get your child out of this hospital till the doctor releases them." Well, that's a lie because I made them my bitch. So I read the reviews, and it's just crazy that I feel like some of the reviews are actual patients that used to be there. Like, for example, this guy with the last comment, and I just find it so bizarre that you were kidnapped from a hospital, you were sent to a psychiatrist, and then you get back and you have this hilarious yet kind of worrisome story to tell, because I don't think anybody would have believed you until you kind of sit down and listen to your actual story. Then you're like, oh man, he actually did go through it. But thank you so much for your time, Jess. Man, it's great. It's funny. I think you should definitely keep this in mind, and in the future, if you become famous, do a movie about this.
Oh, absolutely, I will. I'll make a biopic on this.
What would you name it?
Oh gosh. Something with Kingwood in the name.
Something with Kingwood. Make sure you tag all the workers in there. Just talk shit about them.
Oh, easily.
Well, guys, that is it for our podcast. We'll return back to you guys.